Alrighty, welcome to our first Your Way workshop of the 2022 season. Even though it is not 2022 yet, we are doing these on the 20th of the previous month to help introduce each creative journey. We like to divide the year into these 2-month segments called creative journeys. And the first one for 2022 is habits. And so for these Your Way workshops, we are taking one kind of small topic and focusing on that one tiny little aspect of habits. And tonight that is morning routines. But while we have folks kind of joining us here, I would love if you popped in the chat box and shared what is one of your favorite holiday season traditions. I know I'm always looking to kind of add more things to our family life, and I'm curious what your favorite things are. I think for us, we're going to go see this like holiday light walk thing at this big park that's about half an hour away. And so they have all these things lit up and you can walk through, and it's really kind of magical. Making Christmas cards, one answer here. Stockings, ridiculously overfilled, elaborate stockings, literally 2 full stockings per adult. Wow, that's so fun. Music, trying to catch a holiday concert of any size. Pick up pizza to eat while we're in line to drive through a light show. That's fun. Taking the kids to buy Secret Santa presents, Christmas movies. We just watched Gremlins for the first time as a family, which is definitely a Christmas movie. Let's see, dinner with our friends on Christmas Eve. Reading one Christmas type book each night till Christmas. Hallmark Christmas movie bingo, optional drinking game, fun. So Lorianne says, Carrie, we have a store near us called Daiso. I think that's how you say it. It's like a Japanese dollar store, and they have the best stocking stuffers. We don't have that in our part of the world here, but Carrie, I'm not sure where this Carrie lives. One of our other Carries lives in the Chicago region. And we do have many members on the West Coast as well, but I think it's all Pacific Northwest, right? Yeah. Watching The Grinch Who Stole Christmas. My daughter is now afraid that she can't do it with her. That's funny. That happens. I'm not sure my daughter's going to want to watch Gremlins again. She covered her eyes a lot. Advent calendar. We use an advent calendar my mom needle pointed when I was 3. Oh, I love that. That's so awesome. I love holiday traditions. And I'm also thinking a lot about not just with the traditions we do in our lives, but in terms of how we document the holidays. We put so much zing and pizzazz into it. How can we transfer some of that fun to like other random parts of the year to make, I don't know, random days a little bit more like cheerful and interesting. Of course, we don't have the same kind of energy for it, but just kind of thinking about how we can apply that somewhere else. Just saw a Christmas Carol play. Every year we try to fit in a performance. Awesome. Okay, let's get started here. I wanted to introduce Kim here. She is wearing a jean jacket up here. And she is my teaching assistant here at Simple Scrapper. And so you often see her on our events and inside our community. She's definitely an instrumental part of everything that we do. And I just wanted to make sure that you know who she was. You also hear her once a month on the podcast. So again, tonight we are talking about morning routines. And this is the first of our 90-minute Your Way workshops. The big reason here is we kept going over. We kept having these great conversations that weren't ending on time. And I want to have clear expectations about what time we're going to end. So we're going to give ourselves more than enough time. Sometimes we might end up early, but I do think that we can easily fill 90 minutes talking about scrapbooking. And what this also allows us to do is to have a nice icebreaker session. So we're going to end up doing 4 rounds of small groups. We're going to use Zoom's breakout room feature. And the first one will just be the same question every time, the one we talk about on the podcast, what's exciting you right now in scrapbooking? And so if you ever been listening and thought of, oh, I know what's exciting me, or you heard something and that really got you jazzed up, this is your chance to share with others. And so it kind of get the conversation flowing before we dig into our meatier questions. and also get you more comfortable with each other, and then also deal with any tech issues. If we're not sure somebody's microphone's not working, the first round helps to iron that out before we jump into the good stuff. And then, of course, we have our 3 questions. So every session is going to have 3 questions to really dive into different aspects of the particular topic and to help get some of your stories out. Tonight, I really want to encourage you to share generously of your experiences. While this beginning portion and our wrap up at the end will be recorded, all of your small group conversations are not recorded. So that's your chance to really share widely and just feel comfortable in that small group environment and know that nobody else is going to hear it. And then at the end, we can kind of filter those responses and share our takeaways from what we want to, really remember from this experience. Because that's the other thing that I want you to remember, is to really stay open-minded about new ideas, new perspectives. We have a real diversity of scrapbookers here who scrapbook in so many different ways, have a different experience levels. We have some who are members of our community and some who are not. And so really to take all of that into account and know that everyone has something really valuable and interesting to offer, even if it's totally different from the way you scrapbook, they might have something that you could learn from. So I want to encourage you to, of course, keep that open mind. And with this new schedule, we'll also be able to actually give you a full 10 minutes and then 60 seconds to wrap up too, just to give a little bit more cushion time to those conversations. And with that, do we have any questions? You can feel free to unmute yourself, raise your hand, or pop in the chat box while I get the breakout room set up, but I'm happy to answer any questions for you. For those of you who are here for the first time, I want you to know that you'll figure it out. When I send you to the rooms, there's a thing that you'll click to say accept, and it will send you off to the room. And at the end, it will just automatically bring you back. And I think also the icebreaker session will help getting you more comfortable as well. Okay, I'm going to send you off. But first, we'll review the questions. Number 1, how does your current morning routine make you feel? I am putting the agenda in the chat box if you haven't taken a look yet. And then how would your ideal morning routine make you feel? And you don't even have to have an idea of what would be part of that ideal morning routine, just this comparison between here's how I feel now and here's how I would like to feel in the future if I made some sort of change. And maybe your current morning routine is as best as you've ever been, and it's great, and maybe you don't have aspirations. But I think a lot of us have aspirations for refining our morning routines, including more activities that maybe sometimes we want to do and put on our list, but skip over. So starting with these feelings, I think, is going to be a really good foundation for figuring out then what activities you want to put in that. Because some of you are going to want to feel more productive and confident and rah, like I want to start my day with zing. And others of you are going to want to feel more peaceful and relaxed and zen and just totally chill to enter the day. We all have different goals and desires. We're in different seasons of life. And so the ideal morning routine is very customized to you and what you want in your life right now. There's no perfect that's going to fit for everyone. Number 2, what's your biggest challenge in developing a morning routine, and what have you already tried to work through that specific challenge? And number 3, what are the 1 to 3 keystones of your ideal morning routine? And so what these are those like foundational things that you've identified that maybe make a difference for you and you want to always prioritize, even if you have to pare down. That if things are still going crazy, I want to always try to do these 1 to 2 to 3 things, because I know they make me feel good and they set me up for a better day. Because even if your ideal routine is a little bit longer, 30 minutes, an hour, sometimes even more, we don't always have that kind of time. Sometimes we have 15 minutes, sometimes we have 5 minutes. So what are those little things, or sometimes even bigger things, that are really important to you? For me, it's making the bed. If I make the bed, I know that I can have a good day. If I go and see my bed unmade at 5 p.m., things have gone a little bit awry. And so we all have little keystone things like that that really make a difference. All right, those are our questions. Sending you off right now for your icebreaker. So what's exciting you right now in scrapbooking? Welcome back, friends. I hope you had a good conversation tonight. Can't wait to hear all of your takeaways. But first, I have a couple little things to share. If you are involved in the planning party, I know a number of you were, we kind of shared all of our big announcements for next year. We're continuing doing these 6 creative journeys. And as I mentioned at the beginning, this first one is habits. And that will be the container that we're using throughout everything we do at Simple Scrapper, kind of guiding some of our podcast topics and creating this nice little space inside the membership, which we call the Journey Classroom, which will allow members to really have a suggested path. And that's one of the things that had been asked of us for so long is how you have so many things to offer. How do we know what you want us to focus on? And that's what the Journey Classroom allows us to do, is to give you some recommendations, some, strong recommendations and some optional things if you want to explore deeper, or if you have your own priorities, we're going to help you focus on those. And that's really the core of what we do. Our brand of Simple is really not about how your page looks, it's about how your hobby works. And so I just wanted to share our membership join page real quick, just because this isn't something that I screen share very often. But right now, this is kind of the core of what we're doing right now, because at the end of the year, we're actually having to raise the price of membership. It's been quite a long time since those rates went up. And so now it is time to do that. And so we're in a membership drive trying to get as many in before we do that so you can get the best possible price, because we do grandfather in your pricing for the lifetime of your membership. And I know we even have some members here tonight who are paying a very, very tiny amount compared to what even the current rate is, because they've been members for more than a decade. We've been doing this for so long. It is the heart of everything we do is this membership community. And I just wanted to point out a couple things on the sales page. And I did put the link in the chat box for you. It's just simplescrapper.com/membership, or you can go to membership from the top menu of the main website. And there's a couple things on here that we had updated recently that I wanted to share. Our community really is for everyone, whether you're a paper scrapbook or digital scrapbook or hybrid, you make photo books, and hopefully you got some of that tonight in these conversations, that we really do have that diverse community. This video is one of my favorites. It's obviously a couple of years old. I had short, straight hair back then. This was from our 10th anniversary, but it features so many of our members and their own creations and really celebrates everything that we're about. It's just like a short 1-minute video, but I'm super proud of it. Of course, we have lots of comments from our community over the years. Some of the things that you get inside the membership, of course, we have a vast resource library, and that's why we do these creative journeys, is to help point out some of the things, because you can't possibly consume it all at once. You have so much at your disposal, but we really try to focus on the experiences. I was chatting with a member earlier in between sessions here, and she said that, the crop times that we have, more than 12 hours a week here on Zoom alone, are worth the cost of membership, because it's like, barely a cup of coffee. Just to join, to be able to have anytime access to members like this, to wonderful creative people who just want to hang out, talk scrapbooking, and feel that camaraderie and accountability to get things done. Of course, we're a very inclusive community. You know that about me, and you know that about our community, particularly if you've come to these events or you've seen the things that I've posted on social media. We try to be always welcoming to everyone, and don't tolerate any kind of hate speech or bullying or anything like that. We have I am so proud, and we've had membership, had the membership for more than a decade. We are such a drama-free community. There's drama in lots of pockets of the internet, but for the most part, we don't find a lot of that in scrapbooking, and you definitely don't find that at Simple Scrapper. Our members are so friendly, warm, and welcoming, and genuinely supportive of everyone. So it's been such a blessing to be able to just have this safe place on the web. Another thing I wanted to point out here, we do have our highlights of our 2022 plan. So maybe you weren't involved in the planning party in November, or you didn't have a chance to check it out. There's a PDF here, just kind of a high-level preview, or you can watch the full event on YouTube, where I went through that presentation and explained things in more detail. And these comments here were all comments left in the Zoom chat. during this event. So I don't have the whole transcript here, but these are some of the comments that I pulled out related to our membership plans for next year, because they were just so, if I wasn't already a member, I would join just for this. They were so flattering, and I did not ask anyone to share them. They just did on their own. And so it was awesome, and I really wanted to feature those here for you. A couple things here, of course, the clock is ticking. We are just 12 days away from that price change. We're not changing it on New Year's Eve, because I don't want to be sitting here at my computer on New Year's Eve. I want to be downstairs with a mojito watching TV. But on the night of the 1st and going into the 2nd is when we will change those prices. And then, of course, we have some frequently asked questions here at the bottom. Some of these are a little bit longer, particularly this one about all of the classes that are included inside the membership. And even a link here that says, if you're not sure what it'll get, come to our Your Way workshops, which is what we're doing here tonight. I always love to just feature some of the things that we have going on. And then also the monthly podcast episodes with Kim. We try to take you behind the scenes as well and share some of the best of the fun things that we're doing inside the community. Let's see. Lorianne says, unprompted testimonials are the truest kind. Yes, thank you so much. And Carrie says, that's so true. I've been a member for a year and no drama. Capitals, no. Yes, for sure. We just have an amazing community. And so I hope you'll give us a try if you're not yet a member. I see a lot of members here tonight, but those of you who aren't yet, I hope you'll give it a try. We do have a money back guarantee. If you join, go through our member orientation and decide it's not for you, we'll give you your money back. But I'd love you to give it a chance and experience even more of the warmth that you have here tonight with our conversations. And with that, thank you so much for indulging me with that. And I'm looking forward to hearing what you have to say. We're going to try something a little bit different for the wrap up, and we're going to try to go question by question, because I think that's one of the comments that I've had before, is making sure that we're really covering the full breadth of your discussion. So first off, I'm going to ask for responses or takeaways from this idea of talking about how our morning routines make us feel. So how does your current morning routine make you feel? And how would your ideal morning routine make you feel? What aha moments, takeaways, lessons learned do you have from that part of the discussion? Kay Pittman, go ahead.
One of the takeaways from several of the women in our group was that we did not want to feel rushed in the mornings. And my big aha moment was so many women are putting something creative into their morning routine. You know, some time at their scrap table, sometime journaling, something like that.
And you definitely have to feel not rushed to feel like you can get into that.
Yes.
So there's a synergy there between those ideas. What else on feelings?
I'll go.
Angie, go ahead.
Yeah, I think that's something, no one said this exact thing, but I think what I kind of gathered is that we're all looking for something other than what we currently have as our morning routine. So, you know, there may be aspects that are working, but most of us are kind of seeking out something different. And that was validating for me to feel like I'm not alone.
For sure, yeah. And, you know, they always talk about doing the same thing again, you get the same kind of result. What do we need to shake up even more to get the different results? That's an interesting thing to think about. Anna Ray, you're unmuted. Do you have something you want to say?
I was going to say my morning routine is as important to me as breathing. And if I don't have my morning routine, then I might as well not try breathing. I could not start the day without it. I just couldn't. Well, what I would like to do is to transfer that same kind of energy to an evening routine. And I don't seem to be making much progress in that area, but I keep trying.
Well, maybe think about what works well in terms of the getting started, like what gets you started in the morning. And even if you can think back to when you started, what made this morning routine work so well for you?
I can do all of that. It's just that I get tired. So I have to figure out how to preserve or get some more energy, I think, more than anything. The clock just winds down.
Or also just be more gentle with yourself and lower the expectations around that.
Yeah, and that means going to sleep. I don't want to just do that, but thank you. I'll keep trying.
One thing that we talked about in one of the groups was just recognizing how impacted you are by your season of life with your morning routine, and also whether you're a morning person or not, and just the real difference that those things can make.
And that's a really important point, because you can have a morning routine even if you're not a morning person. You just have to recognize that there's going to be limitations behind that, and what can you adjust and tweak either way to get more of that experience. And maybe you would be more successful with a longer evening routine if you are more of a night owl, and to plan that better. Was it you, Heather, that had your hand raised? Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just thinking of, like, I feel better in the morning when I do my morning routine, and it throws my day off. I think one of the later questions is the challenges, but like when I can get my morning routine accomplished, I feel like I can take on the day. And when I don't, then I flounder and get nothing done.
It's so interesting, just like the psychological ripple effect of it. Even if, like, functionally we're still the same person, but what is it about completing that, and how can we make it maybe even easier to complete it so we can have that feeling more often too? Other thoughts here? Okay, let's go on to, what is your biggest challenge in developing a morning routine, and what have you tried so far to work through that challenge? Consistency. How many times does that word come up?
Well, I think it's helped me a lot, or all the morning Zooms. I get quite a bit done, but I know that doesn't work for everybody, because not everybody can get to them. But yeah, that really puts a piece of my day, and then I can go on and do something else.
Oh, 100%, especially for Mondays.
You know how I was about quiet. And here I am, I love Mondays.
Carrie, go ahead.
My biggest challenge, I think, is discipline. I get up in the morning, I let the dog out, I make my coffee, I grab my phone, I sit on the couch, scrolling through Instagram, watching YouTube videos, whatever. And I just want to be in my craft room for a little while before I have to get in the shower and go to work and all of that. And I haven't tried this yet, because I just had the idea tonight while talking to everybody. My phone stays in the kitchen at night. Like, I charge it in the kitchen. I never, ever even bring it up to bed with me. So I could let the dog out, make my coffee, leave the phone in the kitchen, and go upstairs to my craft room.
What about an interim step of charging your phone in your craft room? So at least you could have the comfort of the scrolling you're used to at the beginning, and do that in your craft room. Now you're in proximity, and then you can learn I have to put the phone down now if I want to actually do something.
That's a really good idea. Yeah, I like that idea too. Because if I leave it in the kitchen, it also can't be my timer, but yeah, charging it in the craft room, that's a really, really good idea. I'll try that. Thank you.
Because then your goal is to just get to the room. You don't need to do anything yet. Like, if you can just get to the room as a habit, you might then eventually be able to do something too.
Yes. Yeah.
I can't wait to hear what happens for you, Carrie. That sounds awesome.
You posted.
Yeah. I know that I have a bad habit. We have a recliner in our living room that we bought when my daughter was a baby. And if I sit in that recliner with my phone, like it's really hard to get out of the recliner and go somewhere else and actually do something. So I have to force myself not to do that unless I have the time and space to do that, because it'll be an hour at least before I get up again.
Right.
Oriane.
So my challenge is I have a toddler, which makes, I realize that my evening routine is pretty well set up because I do that after she goes to bed. And one thing this is making me realize is that if I do want to have a more coherent morning routine, I either need to do it before she wakes up, i.e. I have to wake up before she wakes up, or I need to do it after she's gone to preschool. And that's a little harder because unfortunately preschool does not run 7 days a week. I really wish it did. But yeah, so I need to like find a time when she's not around, because trying to have a routine other than, you know, dealing with her is not really working.
Is there a way that you could like incorporate her into the routine?
I mean, I totally do, right? Like we have breakfast together, we get dressed together and so on. But like, as much as I do love scrapbooking with her, it's less like us scrapbooking independently and more of a collaborative process, which I don't necessarily want in all of my albums. So not every, and planning also doesn't really mesh well with toddlers. So there's a few things that I would like to do without her.
Okay. Yeah, I think it definitely is a season of life conversation, and to maybe split up your routine into different portions throughout the day. And that maybe eventually you'll be able to squish it all more towards the earlier morning, but to pick the essential parts and maybe have multiple stages, maybe even something over lunchtime. That's like even a 5 day a week thing. Because if you can get 5 days of something, that's still better than 0, right?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Other thoughts on this? What else have you tried? And maybe some things that didn't work.
I think for me, having a good morning routine, and I'm an early riser, so it's 5 a.m. for me, which works if my bedtime routine is consistent. And so if I don't get my rear to bed in a timely fashion, which a lot of times it's like 11 o'clock, which is too late to do that and get up at 5, or get up at 5 and want to get up at 5 and get going. So I have to do better with my evening and bedtime routine. And there's no excuse because we're empty nesters. And I mean, there's really, it's me sitting in front of the TV or scrolling on my phone. And I just have to say, okay, stop, shut everything down, go to bed. And, you know, once I'm in my room, I am like out like a light, but it's because I've not gotten enough sleep, because I am getting up at 5 a.m. So my bedtime routine helps facilitate my morning routine.
I think that's a really important connection to identify, because that's obviously going to be the case for so many of us. Maybe to concentrate on the way you want to feel in the morning and just always be thinking about that. Like, this is what a good day feels like. This is what I didn't get enough sleep day feels like. And to use that as the incentive to go to bed. I wanted to add that one thing that I've tried that didn't work so well for me is I've tried a couple different things of like timed morning routines where it's like giving you audio prompts to then do this thing and then go do the next thing. And I am like so stubbornly resistant because sometimes it takes longer or I'm waiting for it to do the next thing. And I find it like irritating. It works really well for my daughter to keep her on track so she remembers to do the things, but I get too frustrated with it. But I can see for some personalities, you might like that, particularly if you need that cue to then move on to the next thing. Maybe you dawdle and get distracted. So there's lots of tech tools that way to help you get through different things, particularly if you have a longer series of tasks.
One thing I noticed for mine too is like I'm resistant to like keeping things within that time period. So I used to do something with like household chores that was like looping. So it wasn't necessarily like on Mondays I did bathrooms and Tuesdays I did whatever, but it was more like the order of things. So like, so with the morning routine, I could say like after I have my coffee, then I like empty the dishwasher and feed the cats,
Yes.
and then I meditate or whatever. So it's just more. And then if it's the day where I have to take the girls to school or early or late or whatever, then I pause where I'm at in my looping and then try to get back in. And you know, maybe some days I have to abbreviate things, but it's more of the order of things, the sequencing. Because I think Edie said the same thing with like how I can't remember. She always goes for a walk either like before or after breakfast, but whether it's, you know, on a school day where she's at work and it's earlier, or if it's a weekend, it's later, but the order of the things. So that was like something I don't think I'd ever really put my finger on as far as like a morning routine. That was interesting. Lorian also had some really cool app suggestions. If you want to like put money on the line, she's got ideas. So,
Ooh.
man.
Yeah, I use an app called Beeminder, like the little buzzy insect. And it lets you basically pick a goal. Like, for instance, mine is going to bed before 10:30, 6 out of 7 nights a week. And if I don't do that, I have to pay them $10 for every night I don't make it. So I actually have a bunch of goals like that, which helps me kind of set guardrails. So, you know, most of the time it's fine. And then some nights it's, you know, 10, 25, and I really would rather stay up, but I'd also really rather not lose $10. So it kind of helps.
Wow, I love that. Oh, go ahead, Henri.
I was just gonna say, what's the cheapest denomination that you can?
You can start out as 0, but the trick is every time you fail and you have to pay or not with 0, it goes up by a little bit. So it starts out at 0 and then it's 5 and then it's 10 and then it's 20. So you find the point at which you either are willing to do the thing or you're willing to acknowledge that you don't actually want to do the thing.
And that can be sometimes an important question that we don't really actually want to do that thing.
Yeah, I found that out for a lot of things, and I consider it money well spent.
That's what my best friend and I did, not with an app, but just in general to hold each other accountable in cleaning our houses. We made a list of these are the boxes that need to get checked each month, and however many boxes were not checked, we owed each other $1 for each box because we're each motivated by money. So that sounds like a great app.
Fun. I would say I do Kim's looping technique. That's probably the closest to what I would do. And particularly kind of, I don't know, the past couple months, not so much, but when I'm in a good solid routine, having that pause of before work. There's like the morning part, and then there's like this transition period, getting my whole family out of the house. And then I come up here and there's a series of things that I want to do before I jump into work. And when I do those, I have a better work day because I'm more relaxed and, you know, more grounded going into work. So.
Did you describe
Hey.
Did you describe a specific looping technique or an app, or what did you say? The something looping technique you said.
Well, I think in like household chores is a great example that Kim gave is like.
Oh, Kim's. You used the word Kim's. Probably. Thanks. That's all it was. I was wondering if I missed something.
Yeah, so I'll just give an example in case anyone is curious, but like you have to do bathrooms and vacuuming and washing towels. You have the series of things. You don't try to assign them to a day. You just always do it in the order. And eventually you'll have to get back to bathrooms.
Is there a terminology for that kind of approach?
I think it's just looping. I don't know if others have heard other terminology for it.
I've heard that sounds very similar to like the Fly Lady zones that she used to talk about, and you have a different zone each day or week or something.
Yeah, for sure. I think for those who are resistant to being told what to do when, that type of technique can work because you can put it off if you're really not into it. And, you know, if you never clean, then it never gets done, but at least you can say like, oh, I'll do that tomorrow. And then you do it tomorrow.
I'm thinking that would work for the idea of having days when you need to be out of the house at 6:30 and days that you need to be out of the house at 7. So if you had a morning routine that had certain things, you could put off a portion of it to the next day. So you do 3 things one day and 4 or 5 the next day, but you still felt like it was a routine.
Yeah, I can see that working too. Or you can put it off just to later in the day. Like, here's my routine. Like mine right now is I have all these boxes on my home screen. I know you guys can't see that, but I have 10 boxes on my home screen. And so my goal for the day is to get all the boxes checked off. Ideally, I check them off in order, but I don't always do that. And I want to get most of them checked off any one day. But sometimes, you know, particularly the start laundry, move laundry, fold laundry, that doesn't happen every day. And so the next day I can try again and actually do that. And so, but it's really over the course of the whole day that I want to get these things done.
I would also say, Betty Lou, one thing I thought about is, I don't know, some things are so unpredictable, or just like my own mentality for that day. But if you know that you have less time on a particular day, depending on what's on your list, you can maybe like shrink things down. So like, instead of doing 15 minutes of stretching, I could do 5 minutes of stretching. And I still like kind of that James Clear idea of like, something's better than nothing, and it just maintains the habit, as opposed to like the optimized habit. So obviously some things are what they are. They're going to take as long as they do. But if there's something that you can like shrink down, you could still do it in that same looping sequence before you have to be out of the house that day. So like that would be another way of looking at it too, I would think.
Oh, 100%. When I have journaling on my morning routine, I will write as little as like a short phrase, 1 sentence, if I really don't want to do it, but I want to keep the habit. I have to show up. I have to put my mark on the page and say I was there. And sometimes I want to write a whole page or 2 pages, but just showing up helps to keep the habit going.
Yeah, I use that a lot, actually. The rule is I have to touch it. I don't have to complete it. I just have to touch it. Sometimes that means I move the laundry from the upstairs hamper to the door, but I touched it.
Totally. Any particular things that stood out tonight that you know you want to try, or you're like, oh yes, that's it. I want to go for that. I want to do that. That was something that I hadn't heard before.
I like the looping, actually. I might try that. Like, one of my problems is my mornings are so different from each other. So like if I make a list of things and I just see how far I can get on it, that might help.
Well, I think so many of the things that we want to incorporate, they can really be done any time of the day. So if you could if your goal, particularly in this season of life for you, if I want to get these done before I go to bed, that might be what's realistic right now.
Speaking of realistic, and this is not like a newsflash to me, but it's a lesson apparently I still have not learned, is the whole concept of, you said like 1 to 3 keystones. I'm like, I have 8 keystones I'd like to really do, which maybe is not so realistic. So I really need to like pare it down, whether I like that or not. Like, that's reality. So yeah.
There was one thing that someone recommended that I thought was really cool, was to get rid of the snooze button. Yeah, I'm talking about UK. So I thought, well, that's a novel idea. Not have the snooze button, so you don't use the snooze button. Why not?
I can also suggest having a toddler who does not come with a lot of downsides with that. So
yeah.
Oh, I love it. So are there any particular like keystones that stood out for you, whether they were yours or someone else's, that maybe it was like surprising of, like, oh, like it's, because we're all so unique and interesting about what really makes us tick and have a good day. Like it could just be the cup of coffee. Kay Pittman.
It was the thing about exercising and doing something creative. They both seem to be things people wanted to fit into their days. And since it was suggested to me, because I have a very varying schedule, that I have an A day and a B day, I think the B days are going to have the creativity put in them.
I love that.
Yeah.
I was thinking today about having like an A, B, and C day of like yoga one day, walking another day, and then scrapbooking on the third day as the reward for doing the previous two.
I don't remember who in,
go ahead, Heather.
I don't remember who in our group was talking about. It might have been, I'm not even going to guess who it was, but they were talking about how they did Lightroom or some kind of photo editing every morning. And I'm just not, I have a good morning routine, but creativity or doing something with scrapbooking hasn't entered my realm of thinking. But going to the A and B day thing, I live in Minnesota where it's really dark and cold in the mornings. And so in the winter, and so I don't walk outside, where in the summer, I get up at 5:30, 6 o'clock and go for a walk. Well, now it's winter. I don't get up at 5:30 anymore. And I should just go to my craft room and scrap during that time and almost have like A season and B seasons, depending on what I'm doing. So that was kind of interesting because I never thought, oh, I could totally do scrapbooking in the morning. That has never entered my realm of thinking.
I can't wait to find out what happens and if you try it and how it goes. Keep it small to start, but it's going to be fun. I think that point about seasons is really important, particularly if you live in a place that has varying levels of darkness and hotness and coldness. It really makes a difference in how you feel and what you want to do. And to recognize that your routine is going to look a little bit different in different seasons of the year, and to just be flexible and have an idea. The more you do it, the more you can say, okay, now I'm in this routine, and then I'm going to shift to this one as the light changes, the temperature changes. Okay, well, we are at time now. This has been awesome. Any final thoughts that you have here today? Any like, I must get this out and share this? Okay. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate you spending time with me tonight. And for all of you watching on the replay as well, I hope you will join us at another session so you can be part of the discussion as well. Our next Your Way workshop will actually be February 20th. So it's the 20th of the month in the even numbered months. And that time will be kicking off the organization creative journey. And one of the other reasons we're doing this is so that we can have more kind of other types of special events. There's so many things that I'd love to talk about. Particularly, we just mentioned Lightroom. I want to talk about how I make my photo books in Lightroom. So that's one of the things that I have on the schedule to bring up at the beginning of the year. So I wanted to just create a little bit more space in the calendar to do fun things. They are always at the same time of the day. They're at 6:30 p.m. now, so we can have that 90-minute session. So I appreciate you all being flexible. Because it is on the 20th, it is varying in days of the week. So depending on where the 20th falls. Okay. Thank you so much and take care. I hope you have a great week. And for those of you who celebrate Christmas, Merry Christmas.